Good afternoon, LinkedIn friends, Value First Nation. Welcome to a new series. I'm excited to get started with Clemen. Value First Data, man. Are you ready for this?
I think I am. If nothing else, I'm excited. Uh, there's so much to talk about data.
There is. But tell me why. Remind us why you are excited.
If nothing else, it all started the week before Inbound with data summit we all organized. There were a lot of really interesting conversations. Then Inbound happened, um, Data Hub, all the talks around data hygiene, and my realization was 80% of the communication I had at Inbound was around data. I didn't expect that. I knew I'll be talking about data, but not that much. And ever since Inbound, I'm back to back on meetings, talking to RevOps consultants, HubSpot admins, HubSpot users, talking about data. Because as it turns out, if you want to be AI ready, if you want to use all the AI fancy stuff, and we'll talk about that also today, loop marketing and everything, man, data is the foundation where it all starts and breaks, at least from what I'm seeing. So this is what kind of really excites me to dig deeper in all the challenges around data, and there are many of them.
Yeah, like all of them. Uh, and, as you describe that, like maybe we could call it like concrete, right? Because for me, it's very hard to like data is definitely um it it can and should be the foundation, but it only has value within context, right? And that's a lot of what we're going to be talking about in this series. And I think this one probably won't just be like a 9-part series. We're gonna be talking about it for a while. Because part of me feels like I've cracked the code a little bit here. Um, and maybe I'm understanding why so much effort uh, was initially put into things like the serious demand waterfall and the lead MQL, SQL. Like it's an attempt at standardizing uh, a lot of like data flow, like things that we
Yeah.
do to create data, to measure data. And while uh, a lot of value first is about how do we transition away from stuff like that. But there was a post yesterday about somebody that likes to simplify, the definitions of lead, MQL, SQL. And I think trying to simplify from that direction is part of, why we're in the predicament that we're in. Because it's very hard to simplify acronyms that mean different things to each business. And what was interesting is there was a comment that is an understandable reaction to that, and just saying like, oh, every business is different. You just give them the deals and they decide what the stages like are going to be, and it's going to be different for every business. And I think that in between is what we're trying to solve for here, because what happens and what leads to the low adoption and messy data is that our users, like even if we give them a process, right, they're inevitably seeing information in other places about things like MQLs and SQLs. And when they see different definitions everywhere, it erodes trust in the system that we're trying to deliver. Um, so in this series, we're gonna talk about uh, the loop marketing playbook and um, and the value path from a foundational place that I think it is a good way to standardize if you can think about the customer's perspective, like always, like prioritize that. Um, and what we learned at Data Summit is why that's so important, because what we're going to discover is that the Loop playbook, while it enables you to, express yourself, uh, tailor the message, amplify it, and evolve, uh, it doesn't map like to the flywheel or to the value path, right? It's actually something that each of the value path has 8 stages. Each of the 8 stages, there's going to be a different loop execution, right? Because as you're going through that journey, you care about different things, you have to deal with different people, priorities change, all that stuff. So we're here to try and help you, like, one, maybe embrace the complexity a little bit once we can simplify, like, that foundational understanding. Is that fair?
Yeah. If we can only solve that and help with that, mission accomplished.
Right. And that's why, like, if when I do share this with people, it resonates a lot, right? It provides more certainty than I've seen, in the past, just because we're using natural language, like words that the person on the other side would agree that, yeah, I'm researching right now. Like, they would never say, yeah, I'm an MQL, right? They're not saying that ever. They're never gonna say, I'm an opportunity. Like, no. So a lot of this stems from what what can we say we're doing, via the Loop marketing playbook, and what would the buyers, our prospects, our customers agree that they're doing, like words that they would use to describe themselves. It goes so far in terms of helping with understanding when you're trying to get people to, buy into, rather complex behavioral, understanding and process management.
Yeah. What you said, that loop marketing is basically a new loop for every of those 8 stages. This is an interesting perspective. I haven't been thinking about it in such way, but when you say it like that, it makes sense. It's not like across everything across the universe. There are smaller loops you need to think about, and they have different paths and different um, data, if you will, to think about it and how to use it. And from what I've been seeing around data, more and more people are now realizing it's not about the volume of data, but really about the right data, the just right part of data. So what you need to know to understand who is where, how to best add value, serve them, help them, support them on their journey. And you don't need to have 60 properties populated with something that it doesn't matter if you only know what is relevant. And this is what goes to, every business is unique. Yes, that part is unique because every business has different signals, if you will. But overall, in general, we're all in the same processes, spots, loops, whatever the words are. And that's why also, I agree with those 8 stages being more natural understanding. Where we've been talking about that a lot, MQLs, SQLs, and all the attribution and everything. This is just how we all try to make it measurable and then conversion driven. But it's not necessarily the right way of thinking it.
Yeah. I'm going to show the loop. in a minute. But as we go through the series, I think there's some key like mindset shifts that if you can like buy into, related to what's happening now. And again, this is all in the face of things aren't working anymore. Like the demand waterfall is not working. Push like ads are not working. And so like if you can think about it, especially as I bring this up, and I highly recommend Hub Heroes podcast. George and that crew are going through the loop marketing, this week. And that's right, even right out of the gate. And this was in Dharmesh's post yesterday. Like sometimes they say loop marketing playbook, sometimes it's loop playbook for growth, which is probably the right way to say it because it's not just marketing. It's only just marketing when your organization has a marketing department that owns all of the communication throughout the organization, which they should. Like that's what marketing's supposed to be doing. But most often that's not the case, right? But if you can think about it, like imagine that we can't get them to convert without us anymore. Like there's no more like form fills, like organic. Like we're trying to create signals that say somebody's on the verge of conversion and we're going to be right there to help them as we understand like truly whether they're a fit or not, and we convert together, right? To build like the best foundation of a trusted relationship, right? And that's where like sales cycles speed up, like revenue increases, trust. Like it's how you get to how else could you get to mutual value without that initial like very clear understanding of what value is for each person, right?
Yeah.
So this is loop playbook on the screen right now: express, tailor, amplify, evolve. You want to take these or do you want me to?
Please go ahead.
Okay. So and George mentions this in the podcast about how this is designed and delivered to us from HubSpot to support internal process and execution so that we can show up in the market every day with relevant, timely content. We can create agility. We can be omni-channel. All the things that AI is requiring of us, and the humans have been requiring of us, by the way. It's a different infrastructure required to resource this, right? It doesn't mean you don't already have the resources. It's just recoordination of everybody. Because I can tell you, like, that like pro tip here, like whoever's a subject matter expert in your organization, wherever they work, this only works if they become much more involved than they probably already are, right? Sometimes you've heard like people building out marketing departments for the first time, like second or third hire now is a subject matter expert, right? It's not somebody who can execute ads or SEO or build websites or design. It's do they know the problem inside and out? And do they know the audience inside and out? Because without that, this whole thing gets way harder, right? So if we go through real quick, Express, I'm going to give you the HubSpot version, and then I'm going to give you my version through each of these. And my version is basically just from the buyer perspective, let's say. Express, it is very important that you know who you are, like who you are as a brand, who your people are as individuals, and what your value is. What value are you creating, for the people around you? And you have to be very good at expressing that transparently openly, not trying to trick anybody, very clear messaging. But I think you also have to be good at expressing the problem that you're trying to solve and who you're trying to solve it for. So you'll commonly hear a website mistake is that you we all over the page because you can't stop saying we, like us. The way that Express is delivered here, that's what there's not like, it's all about get good at your brand, get good at your message. And then like you can't use AI to create content until you get to that point, right? Like, well, one of the best ways to figure out what your tone and your values are and your message and your messaging is to give it transcripts. Give AI transcripts, give it any shows or any sales, meetings you've done, and it can get you off the ground pretty quickly as far as, what your brand actually means, like in conversations, in a way that would take you 3 to 6 months, right, to figure that out. So that's is that how you think about Express? Did I miss anything there?
I would only maybe add that think about voice and brand at two levels, the company and personal level, because this might not necessarily be exactly the same, and it's fine to not be the same. Company brand can be different to subject matter expert. We had a discussion at the Slovenian HubSpot community meetup last week, where we kind of going through inbound stuff, and part of the discussion was we're now entering kind of the era where the geeky person in the team might be the best person to put out, to be present online. And it's fine for that person to be geeky, to be introvert, you only need to make it comfortable for that person to be vulnerable, to be open to share the knowledge they have. But this is how you'll build credibility. And the tone of voice of this person, of course, will be different compared to how you want to have your witty company brand. And it's fine. But you can build that express part for those people separately.
Yeah. And no polish, right? And if you've been watching any of the OpenAI product launches or these new AI companies, like they launch whenever it's ready. They have every single engineer like get on camera, and it's not always easy to watch if you're a marketer, right? But they're living proof of this right now. Like they're throwing campaigns out the window. It's like, hey, we've got some value here. It's time to go. I want the people who know the most about the thing. And we're not going to go through some 10 practice sessions and like go through cards, like all that stuff, right? They're doing it. They're doing it right now. And it's forcing this speed. That is the whole reason you need this loop like playbook, because it's going at unprecedented speeds. So very, very important part. So Taylor is next. And that's where like once you know that part inside and out, like it becomes easy to tailor because you're right there. Like you're so close. We talk about this all the time about just being in the community, being in the market, right? When you're constantly hearing how people talk about things and what words they use, it gets easier and easier to use those same words like back, right? And I mean, this is what we've always been told to do, right? Now it's just we're enabled at a scale. And I don't know, do you think that people understand the difference between personalized and personal?
Slowly, yes. I've been hearing that kind of, stop being personalized and be personal from Yamini for at a conference I was at, and then she was on stage back in May, now at Inbound. And I think that helps coming from, from top level, that, this is the shift. To me, maybe a better word than personal is relevant, which is a stronger word, what you need to do and what you need and how you need to communicate. And then that's how I've always been thinking about email communication, for example. It doesn't need to be personalized, so it doesn't need to speak to how great I was at Scouts. I mean, that's personalized, and it doesn't need to be, tailored, somehow fusing that for what you do as a service. But if it's relevant to me, it can be unpersonalized at all, but it will still resonate with me. If it, hits the pain point, the feelings that I currently have, the struggles, it will resonate, and it will be tailored to me as a recipient, and it's not necessarily personalized.
Right. Yeah, that's where I think it's there's so much nuance to all this, right? But it's like, how could you treat everybody like you knew them, right? Like you knew who they were, what they cared about. And that's where you only get the resonation and the emotional reaction if people tie it to like their personal, what they care about, what
Yeah.
what drives them every day. And that's where I think the main difference is like we can personalize for a general audience, but personal happens at like the individual, one by one level. But we might try to find different words there because I think it's easy to say like, oh, they just throw all these tokens in, right? Where instead of any personalized tokens, you just go check out their LinkedIn profile, go see what they posted about yesterday, and then react to that in some human way, right? And not just the, hey, I saw you like this post from 2 weeks ago, and now I'm going to pitch you. I'm not talking about that. It's like, if it's not relevant to you and you don't have any value to add to whatever they just did, don't bring it up, right? But that's where what you can find these personal connections. So I love the way you put that, as far as, again, we keep coming to it over and over. Relevance and timing is the context that brings all this
now,
together.
With all those automations and AI and everything that is now available, we, in the past it felt, marketing is one to many. Then it was, one to a cohort of people, a group of people. Now it's one to one, and this is possible now. The group is one person there. That's how you should think about everything. So and that goes back, to data. You need to understand what data you need to make it relevant for the person you're reaching out. A, when that is relevant, and B, what is relevant for that person.
Yep. So then we get to amplify. And again, as it was presented, it is, how are you showing up in an omni-channel way that's relevant and timely and contextual for that channel and the people in that channel, right? And again, if you aren't engaging your subject matter expertise, your experts, and they're not a part of that community, you have no choice but to go either build it yourself, which is what we're going to suggest, or find, whoever is already there. And you get into like influencer concepts, and they actually mention that like during the presentation. You find people that can actually amplify these messages effectively, right? And but also sticking with this program of tailoring and expressing all the work you did in express stage. This is where it could easily fall apart, Like if you're showing up in the wrong places at the wrong time in front of the wrong people, like that has an impact. And that's almost all of the marketing, like horror stories that we hear, like all the cancellations, like all that stuff is a result of doing this part just like transparently bad, right?
Yeah.
Like it's not hard to see, like, oh, you haven't been in this channel, and now like I'm hearing your message everywhere. Uh, you're not supposed to be here. Like that's the reaction, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
And good luck building trust with me if that's my first reaction, right?
Yeah.
So, like my personal example of this is last year, I was starting Let's Build. Hey, trying to solve a HubSpot knowledge gap. I can't do it by myself. Who else? Who else wants to join? Right? Find other HubSpot experts that are doing something on LinkedIn, right? They had to like raise their hand, like, hey, if you want to show up once a week, let's go. Right. Then we had 5 people and then we had 10. And that is how I chose to amplify, because then you start with the subject matter expertise, you start with the passion, and now you kind of build influencers where there wasn't really any, right? And now what we're trying to do with the Let's Unbox series is there's so much expertise in the product organization of HubSpot. Um, they're the ones that have all the knowledge. Like they're the ones that are going to be way more involved. Like if HubSpot is executing their own playbook, I think we're going to be hearing from a lot of product
Yeah.
managers, right? And they're excited to do it, right? And when you look at the math of resources available to HubSpot and where they've focused, like on product and on enterprise sales, that's where the resources aren't going to come like from anywhere else. Luckily, they have this brilliant product team that, again, like as you mentioned, like the nerds, like it's okay to come out and be nerdy about
Yeah.
the product, right? People love it. They want it, right?
Yeah.
Uh, and then because they're the ones that are doing this, right? They're the ones out on social, out in the community, your subject matter experts, HubSpot or not. This like this evolved. It happened so fast because just like we do product feedback calls, voice of customer, and that's how you like gain data and understand these things, and then you apply them. That's happening. Those conversations are happening in the market every single day, right? And if you can be a part of those conversations, all of a sudden it's constant signal recognition, and then you can make quick actions and then send the message right back, and either it worked or it didn't, and you can start to like, I don't think anybody can argue with how good HubSpot's product feedback loop is, right? Like that's what enables their quick um their product progress in a lot of ways. And again, I'm talking about product development here. That's where this loop is not just a marketing thing,
Yeah.
right? It's like, how do you serve the community and the market that you want to buy your product in a valuable way, right?
Yeah.
So throughout the org, I think this applies internally and externally in terms of value creation at every point in the process.
Yeah. I mean, words around bound in all those versions is, what always gets to my mind. Where, yeah, I mean, yeah, you need to be everywhere. I mean, then we go back to at least my internal challenges. I can't be everywhere, so I always have, a tension in my head and in my feelings that, hey, you need to be everywhere, but you just can't be. But no, do your best, be present as much as you can be, and engage, express yourself, share your opinions, unfiltered. Just throw them out, throw your thoughts out. Be there, That's how we then build credibility. And then, back to the geeks and nerds, who else can provide a super interesting, technical explanation about something than the ones who are building the product? Yes, they're not the ones who are typically, out there and talking, but that's fine. They can still write a really nice comment on LinkedIn that can, share a lot of value. And that's how they will show up, and they will build the credibility. And maybe the first day they'll make one comment, the other day they'll be comfortable doing 2 comments, and then they'll start doing 5 comments a week, and then every week, every comment is seen 300 times. So they're they're becoming the expert even to the outside world.
Yes.
And if you have 8,000 employees, each of them is out there. No matter how many views Dharmesh and Yamini get on their posts on LinkedIn, it's far less than what an organization can do as a whole, if you structure it and think about it.
Yeah. And you're like describing this loop process here. And it's interesting, like the farther along you get, the more AI is going to be, helpful. Like, cause I was going to start here, like, just imagine this, like, okay. And I guarantee this is already happening inside of HubSpot, like the reaction to loop marketing playbook at inbound, like even live, it was mixed reviews, to say the least. Even I mean, it took a minute, right? Because I'm like, all right, finally we get to the infinity, like, symbol that has been a much better way to describe the journey. And then you realize, like, oh wait, this doesn't map to any journey. This doesn't, like, wait a second, how am I gonna? And then it took, okay, like if you go through this process and you get to here, now this, imagine this, like we did all this messaging work. So they said they announced loop marketing, right? And then they get to this part, and then this is manufacturing, this is SaaS, this is financial services, this like AI. This is where, man, when you have the express done and then you get the data in for how people are responding to that message, it's one of my favorite things is just can we do it through this lens now and see what that looks like? It gets so iterative so quickly, and it just helps you, continually build the foundation, right? That really scales your organization to be in all places, like all places where your customers are, right? So I'm gonna hit on these value path stages real quick. We're gonna be sharing a lot of information. That's what the next kind of 8 episodes will be about. And the Data Summit recordings should be up in the next 24 to 48 hours in a snippet format, like the 10-minute intros we had and the roundtables, which is what I'm working off of here. So we're gonna unload, because this is the unlock for me. Like, I think the more I hear about life cycle stages and how that just has not worked like previously, this is a way to standardize for every single business. As humans, it's coming from a place of humans are always looking for value. They want to be heard, they want to be seen, they want to be understood, and they want their expectations met. Like, no matter what business you're in, like that is true for all of the humans that you serve, right? So this is where this is coming from. We have audience stage, right? And this is all, we're going to relate this to how you create the space for signals, how you enable signals and signal recognition, and then how you can act on it, right? Moving away from like trying to create conversions so that everything funnels down and we just get 1,000 and then 100 and then 10. No, It's going to be like, can you do like 10, 10, 10? Right? And when you engage subject matter experts in that way, and everybody becomes this like full funnel account manager, that's possible, right? We don't want so much attrition because all of that attrition means trust. Like it's going out the window in a lot of cases. So we have audience stage. They're saying, I am learning. Researcher, I am researching. And I know it seems probably like a little rudimentary, maybe elementary school. You know, it helps me to say, like, imagine that the person on the other side can say, yep, I'm researching. Like, you got me. That's exactly what I'm doing right now. Or also important, they can say, no, I'm not researching right now. This is like, I'm over here. Like, these are stages that people can buy into or buy out of, right? So hand raiser stage, I am buying, not necessarily from you yet, but I'm in buy mode. I'm in the market. Hero stage, I am building conviction, right? I need to get other people on board. Like, HERO stands for highly empowered revenue opportunity. I'm trying to, I don't know if I'm open to a better word here because I said people don't call themselves opportunities, but like they are the heroes of their own story. Like if you're on board with story brand. So we're trying to make magic happen there. But they're like this whole message of how are you supporting customer internal advocacy? Like, are the case studies easy to share? Can you see when they're being shared and like make sure you're there to help, right? And then on the other side, after there's a contract in place, let's say we've got value creator stage, people that no matter who's involved there, their mission is to create value in that moment with that new relationship, even if they haven't been involved in the process before now. I've got adopter stage. They realize the value, right? This is the stage that everybody wants to get to, and everybody has identified that this is a problem, like in SaaS. If you can pose it this way, like one of the comments yesterday is, how do you get from customer to evangelist, right? Well, when you don't have those stages mapped, like, of course, like surprise, adoption's a problem. Then we've got advocate stage, which is really focused on like are we enabling people to share that value easily that they realize, usually starting with internal teams, but then in the community. And then our champions, they're raving fans. Like there's so many, that should be the easiest one to understand in concept, but it takes a lot to kind of say, oh, we're co-creating go to market. We're co-creating marketing at that stage. We're enabling them to move forward without us.
Spread right? The word.
Yeah. So we did our best. Some technical difficulties earlier that got us started a little late. But I'm excited for this series, man. I think it's going to be really important moving forward.
So am I. And as we started, there's so much to uncover, to think about, and talk about. So yeah, see you next week.
Everybody have a great Tuesday and rest of the week. See you next time.
See you next time.